Hiya everybody, just going to do a video today. I want to explain the differences of closed couple cisterns and how they actually fit into the closed couple pan. We're going to start with this one, and I'd like to talk a little bit of, there's two different ways where a closed couple cistern, whether it be a handle one or a push button one which I got here, doesn't make a difference. Depends on the make and model of your toilet. If you look in here, you notice straight away there's no bolts going through the cistern. Sometimes you may have the long float arm going across and you may not notice, but if you move it out of the way, if the cistern's been there a while, they'll be rusty. But there's no bolts going through the cistern in this one. Instead, you'd have a closed coupling plate like this. Obviously most common ones are metal, this one's plastic. So basically how that works is, I'll show you in a minute. Different toilet. But how it works is, your siphon would go into the cistern, your sealing washer on the bottom. How it works is, your siphon goes through the bottom like I just said, and this slots over the siphon's threads, or flush valve threads, whatever flush valve you have. Whether it be a siphon, a drop valve, whatever. It does make a difference. And then the locking nut by here is held, well, it's put on, you tighten it up, and this holds the plate in place. So basically, the siphon goes in the cistern first, or your drop valve. Let me show more about that in depth for a sec. So basically, you just make sure when you put your siphon in your cistern, it's in properly with rubber washer on there. Don't need putty or any of that nonsense. You just put it through the cistern, doing it one-handed here, making sure every second, and then your coupling plate just basically goes on, making sure both ends are level, and then you just tighten up the locking nut like that. You may also find that if you lift the lid up off the cistern, you may find there's holes going through the bottom, and if a ball is in the way, the float is in the way, you have to move out of the way and have a little look. If it's been on there a while, it'll be rusty. So I'm going to show you what type of fixing kits you'll need. Okay, if you've got a plate going like that, if you've got that set up where it doesn't have any bolts, and you've got a closed coupling kit, you need to purchase a closed couple kit. This one's made by Viva, and it comes with the coupling plate, the donut washer, which would therefore go on the back of your toilet, on top, like that. The bolts obviously, and obviously, one second, metal wing nuts, rubber washers, and obviously the metal washers as well. If you do not have this type of cistern, and it's still close coupled, I'll show you another one now. If you have something like this, obviously if it floats in the way, you have to move it out of the way like I say. If it's been there a while, they'll be rusty. Obviously, you got something like these and you need to replace a siphon or something like that, because the siphon for whatever reason needs changing, you may need to replace these bolts as well. Now if you replace these bolts, okay, it does not come with a donut washer, you'll have to buy that separately. And like the one that's got a plate, you could tell if it's got a plate or if it's got bolts, because if it's got bolts you'll see something like that, where you've got a wing nut, metal washer, a rubber washer, hexagon washer, a metal washer, a rubber washer, and so on. That fixing kit will not come with a donut washer, so you need to buy one of them separately. Ideally a foam rubber washer. No, sorry, a foam washer, not rubber, as they tend to fit better with the cistern like this, from my experience anyway. I will put the link down in the description where you can buy them. You could pick these up in Plum Base, which is where I buy most of my stuff, or Screw Fix. Viva make the, well, some of the good kits you can get these days. McAlpine's another good one. But if you've got a cistern like this, where it does not have a recessed area, you will need a coupling plate where it's got these dipped edges like that. Recessed edges. Pronouncing that wrong, but you need something like that, okay? if you have got recessed areas there, where you can see the square bumps or whatever, typically ideal standard cisterns use them. You can get a flat coupling plate as well, where these edges are flat. Right, I'm going to show you now what it looks like when it's put back together. So basically, it looks like this, yeah? Obviously, you tighten that locking nut up by the back nut with a adjustable spanner or a pair of grips. Making sure these edges by you are in line with each other, so it can fit onto the pan by you. Okay, so I'm not going to show myself fitting the cistern onto the pan, but I show it when it's back on. So cistern back on the pan now. Basically, you might be able to see now if I show you. When you tighten these wing nuts up, obviously it goes on like that. Rubber washer, metal washer, wing nut. Obviously it slots into the holes in the slots in the plate. And as you tighten the wing nut up, the plate acts as a clamp and pulls the cistern down as you tighten. Don't over tighten these wing nuts because you break the toilet otherwise. You break the pan, break the cistern, it'll crack, and you need a new one. So yeah, that's how you put it back on. I haven't shown myself putting it on, but you should get a picture. Be careful when you place the cistern onto the pan. So basically, that's how it works. So you siphon the good cistern. You make sure when you put this on, this face is on the outside. So pretend this is a cistern, this is the outside of the cistern. Underneath the cistern on the outside, your siphon or your flush valve, or drop valve, your threads or your drop valve or your siphon will come out through the coupling plate. This would be against the ceramic cistern, and then your locking nut, your back nut of your siphon or your drop valve, whatever you got, will screw on, and that will hold the plate in place. So yeah, I just wanted to do a little quick talk really. Might not be the best of explanations of what fittings are out there, but if somebody's replacing a toilet siphon or drop valve in a closed coupled cistern, it's worth having a look at the video to see what you might have, or to help you identify what you may have. Say you're making multiple trips to the shop. If you're wondering, I put on another donut washer, because depends on the closed coupled toilet, it may have, depends on the inlet hole as well, on the section where a cistern bolts to. It might be worth using not one of these donut washers, because you get multiple designs. This is the one that's included in the Viva pack. I tend to go for the foam donut washer, because I find you get a better seal with them. But these rubber ones are great as well. But yes, if you got bolts going through the cistern, you will need to buy one of these separately, because it will not come in a pack. If you buy the closed coupling kit like this is included. Don't ask me why it's like that, but that's just how it is. Viva do the bolts going through the cistern, and they do the kit that's shown. So pretend where our centre hole is there, that'll be your siphon threads or your drop valve threads. Donut washer goes over the threads, and then that goes onto the toilet pan. Hope this video's been helpful if you happen to stumble across it. If it has, hope work went well. But if you're not confident of commencing work by yourself, do seek professional advice and get a professional qualified plumber to carry out any work. But if you are confident and you got some knowledge in plumbing, should be a straightforward job for you. Thanks for watching. If you have managed to stick through all this time, and if you have, I would say thank you, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Take care now, bye bye.